Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Kirsch1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperial Guard as we get into one of the most amazing vehicles, the Manticore. Now this was a viewer request, so if you have any requests, please comment down below. And also if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Manticore. The Manticore is a mobile, multi-rocket artillery piece used by the Imperial Guard that is based on the variant of the Chimera Armored Personnel Carrier chassis. A formidable weapon, the Manticore is capable of firing devastating barrages over incredible ranges. Though not as commonly seen on the battlefield as the Basilisk or the Earthshaker cannon, the Manticore's versatility gives it a distinct advantage over other artillery. Named for the ferocious creature from ancient Terran mythology, the Manticore is armed with 4 long-range artillery rockets, capable of firing a variety of different warheads, such as highly explosive fragmentation warheads, oxyphosphorus incendiary warheads, air gas warheads, to high-altitude and surface-to-air interceptor missiles, providing it with an anti-aircraft capability. But the most common type remains the deadly Storm Eagle rockets, the signature payload of these ancient siege vehicles. The standard pattern of the Manticore is produced on the Forge World of Styges 8, while the pattern of the Manticore that makes use of primary incendiary Manticore missiles is manufactured on the Forge Worlds of Graia. Compared to the Earthshaker cannon, a Manticore is a highly sophisticated piece of equipment, utilizing audio-modulated radio control systems, gyroscopic roll stabilization, and radar tracking. The Manticore can be used to fill a number of roles and make up any shortage in the existing order of battle. When armed with anti-aircraft missiles, it could stand in for a Hydra. When armed with oxyphosphorus incendiary warheads, it becomes a devastating anti-infantry weapon. And when armed with high explosive warheads, it can even be used to attack enemy tank formations. Each Manticore missile is divided into 5 components: the fuse, control, and guidance equipment, an electrical unit, an explosive warhead, and the missile's propeller tank. Each missile is powered by a 2-part solid fuel rocket that generates speeds up to 300 meters per second once airborne. Due to the restriction on the number of missiles available, Manticores are not as commonly seen on the battlefield as Basilisks. This means most artillery barrages are still fired by breech-loading artillery, though Imperial Guard commanders find the Manticore's flexibility very useful. While extremely powerful, the Manticore is notoriously unpredictable. The temperamental machine spirit of this artillery vehicle must be continuously tended to by a group of the artillery battery's attendant tech priests. Otherwise, without the appropriate blessings, the machine spirit may be offended, resulting in rockets veering off target or even failing to detonate. Unfortunately, it is more common for the Manticore's weapon system to simply jam and for its rockets to be unable to launch. In very rare circumstances, it has been recorded that Manticores have unintentionally fired their entire payload at once, resulting in a catastrophic destruction of an entire Imperial unit. Despite its unpredictability, Imperial Guard commanders are willing to gamble on the Manticore's fickle nature, knowing full well that the destructive capability of a single salvo is equivalent to the normal fire of an entire artillery battery. The Manticore can be equipped with several different types of missiles, including the standard Manticore missiles, the anti-air Sky Eagle rockets, and the Storm Eagle rockets. The vehicle is normally equipped with a forward hull-mounted heavy bolter, but it can also be equipped with a heavy flamer if needed. The Manticore can also be equipped with the following enhancements: camouflage netting, extra armor, a hunter-killer missile launcher, a minesweeper, improved communication equipment, a pintle-mounted heavy stubber, or a storm bolter, a dozer blade, rough terrain modifications, a searchlight, track guard, and the smoke launcher. And those were 40 facts on the Manticore. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends. This vehicle is really badass. It looks badass, and at the same time it uses the Chimera chassis. So what you could do is you could buy a Chimera for $38, and then you can go onto some third party or even eBay and find yourself some rockets. I'm pretty sure they sell like big rockets from like the Civil War and the no, not Civil War, the World War II games and whatnot, and then pop them onto your Chimera, and bam, you saved yourself almost $10 or $11, because I think that's the difference between the Chimera and the Manticore. You could do that with a lot of stuff in the Imperial Guard army, which I'm finding out, and that's pretty badass. If you guys have any other suggestions for other Imperial Guard units or weaponry, just comment down below and we'll try to create it for you guys. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of Imperial Guard vehicles are named after mythical creatures found in today's time. So, Terran mythical creatures. You have the Basilisk, you have the Chimera, you have, of course, the Manticore. All mythical creatures that existed at some, or that are found within our mythology, either Greek or Roman, whatever it may be. So what I wanted to do is come up with my own Imperial Guard vehicles named after mythical creatures that I enjoy in today's time. So I want to bounce off some ideas for you guys. The first one is, of course, the Bigfoot. Now, this would be a walker, and I'm not talking about like a Titan. What I'm talking about is a Sentinel-looking vehicle, but instead of having the two feet, it would just have one enormous foot, like a flamingo's foot, and it would just like jump up and down, and it would crush its victims. Now, at first, I realized this is a really stupid idea, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized this isn't an Imperial Guard vehicle, this is an Orc vehicle. It would be awesome to call it the Foot of Gork and just have a giant stomping foot that Gretchen is riding on top of. That would be pretty badass. The second idea I had for you guys is the Yeti. Now, the Yeti would be an armored vehicle for the Imperial Guard that would shoot out liquid nitrogen or some chemical that acts like liquid nitrogen, where it instantly just freezes whatever it touches. So if there would be high vegetation, let's say that the Imperial Guard were fighting on some world where it's just covered in foliage and it's hard to move through, they would shoot out the dried ice, freeze it, and then just crash right through, basically like breaking glass. We've all seen the experiment with the rose and putting it in liquid nitrogen. You pull out the rose and then you can crush it with your hands. That's basically what the Imperial Guard would be doing with vegetation and whatnot. And of course, it would be great as an anti-infantry vehicle. The vehicle would show up and spray a bunch of liquid nitrogen or spray a bunch of chemicals, freeze all the either Xenos or heretics, and then just roll right through them. It would be kind of cool. It'd be like Frozen, but in 40K. The next idea I wanted to pitch to you guys is called the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster would be an Imperial Guard submarine that would be segmented. So much like the Loch Ness Monster's myth, where people who say that they spot him, they see the humps on the actual lake. You would see that with a submarine. So you wouldn't see anything, and all of a sudden you would see humps appear, and those humps would of course be moving. Through those humps there would be holes, and those holes would be firing points where the submarine would just be, showering the coastline with artillery fire or some type of Gatling weapon, and of course it would be waterproof. So it's not an actual hole that somebody is sticking their gun out of. It's a gun emplacement put on the side of these submarines, so that number one, it would be able to shoot, and number two, it would be difficult to actually take down because the humps are constantly moving. And my fourth idea is very different than what we've been talking about so far, because it wouldn't really be an armored vehicle. What it would be is a suit. And this would be called the Jersey Devil, named after, of course, the Jersey Devil, which struck terror in the inhabitants of that area. So what it would be is like the Elysian drop troops. Instead of having jetpacks, the Jersey Devils would have a suit with a jetpack, talons, and it would emit a horrific shriek, a horrific terror shriek that would scare away whatever enemy is going towards it. So basically they would be the Imperial Guard's version of the Night Hunters, the Night Lords. So they would strike terror land and then just devastate the enemy with blades, gunfire, and just craziness. But the whole idea is that fear is their main weapon. They are the Jersey Devils, basically. And those are my ideas. Now I just have to find a good tech priest to put in a good word for me within the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Forge Worlds of Mars, and maybe create one of these awesome vehicles. Now it's up to you guys. What do you guys think would be a good vehicle that the Imperial Guard would need, and what mythical creature would be the inspiration behind this awesome vehicle, or just whatever weaponry for the Imperial Guard? Comment down below. I can't wait to read what you guys have, and if I find one that's pretty good, we'll talk about it in one of the videos. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to support us a little bit more, if you guys like what we do, go over to our Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps out the channel. But with that said, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.